here we go, week 2 of the recap. Can you remember in the beginning when we started to develop the punch? We started out with the jab cross. These punches taught us which angles of attack. The direct angle. Then the following week we started to add the hook and the overhand. These new punches added another 2 angles of attack to our arsenal. What are these 2 angles? Circular and diagonal. As we can see in this shot, Greg is shadowing the jab, cross, hook and overhand. So that's 3 angles of attack in play now, plus the addition of the direct elbow. In this last recap clip of the shadow, we can see how Roland now adds the pence attack to the equation. What is the pence attack? The pence attack is an aggressive evolution of the pensador. What can we see happening in this shot? Roland is receiving what? And what is he receiving with? The boys are attacking Roland with the 4 punches, which are what? Jab, cross, hook and the overhand. And Roland is destroying the incoming attack with what? The pensador. By putting each piece of work that we study into the 2-man predator exercise, we are cultivating what? Instinctive action-reaction. Do you remember that once we had learnt to attack with a punch, we then learnt how to destroy the punch? We hope that you have caught this punch sequence correctly and that you have spent enough hours developing it. Before Roland attacks, he makes good use of what? The windows. He always applies predator-alert attitude and observes his opponents before, during and after attacking. This particular exercise plays with the concept of what? In this case, provocation. By initiating the attack first, Roland is provoking a reaction, which is exactly what he wants. Provocation is a very interesting concept, and one that is exploited to great effect within the Urban X programme. We can all see just how dynamic a simple punch can be if it's trained correctly. We must continue to develop our body mechanics, and there is always room for improvement. And we must never utter the words, "Yeah, I got that, what's next?" as this is a surefire way to show that we understand nothing and yet we think we know everything, which is most certainly not the case. In this exercise, we continue to use the concept of provocation. Greg receives a jab cross from the boys and destroys everything with the pensador, and then returns one of the first real evolutions of the pensador, the direct elbow. Can you remember anything else that we said about the direct elbow before? We talked about how the hands never need to leave the head, and the reason behind this conclusion is very simple. They don't need to if the mechanics are right. In this recap sequence, we see Roland showing all of the 6 punches in isolation. This completes all of the basic lines of attack, which are what? Direct punches, long and short circular punches, and diagonal punches. Can you remember in this exercise how Roland received a jab and then returned a jab, received across and then returned across, and the same went for the rest of the punches? By the time we arrived at this exercise, we were starting to rock a little. We were using the punch to provoke a reaction from the opponent and then destroy whatever came back with the pensador and immediately attacking again. Only this time we used the direct elbow. We can see just how brutally efficient the direct elbow really is, especially in this example, where Roland is lifting the level of intensity quite a bit. We have just seen one of the radical evolutions of the pensador, the direct elbow. Well, here is another one, the dynamic and ballistic pence attack. As you will have most definitely felt in training, the pence attack is not easy in the beginning. It takes quite a while to get the feel of it. But once you get to grips with it, the pence attack really does become an extremely dangerous close-range weapon. Do you remember this exercise? This was where we combined the pensador and the pence attack. What is the main difference between the two? They are both destroyers, but the main difference is the pensador receives an attack, whereas the pence attack is the attack. Can you also now see that the boys are feeding the 6 punches? Jab, cross, hook, over, slap and upper. And Greg receives all the different angles of attack with the pensador and then immediately returns a dynamic and explosive pence attack. This exercise has another little flavour to it. We have the concept of provocation, which instigates an answer from the opponent, followed by a radical and ballistic crash and enter mentality. By mixing these different weapons, we are playing with what? Distance, rhythm and timing. The work that we are recapping right now is so vitally important, as without this piece of the jigsaw, the future picture will be difficult to assemble, and therefore the obvious will elude us.